critical race theory and the left's war on whites. Is there any clearer sign of how privileged a society is than the disproportionate amount of time that society spends guilting citizens over how privileged they are? In America 2021, our children are being indoctrinated from kindergarten through college to hate the historic American nation, its founders, and the majority race in this country. They're being taught by anti-white, anti-American bullies that we are all just nothing more than the miserable sum of our politicized racial and ethnic identities. Instead of celebrating the privilege of American citizenship, minorities are steeped in grievance, victimhood, and contempt, while woke white liberals are hurling themselves under the bus to prove their so-called virtue. Check this out. In Minnesota, a dinner theater canceled its production of a Cinderella show because it was, quote, too white. Or how about this? You remember that 2020 Democratic presidential candidate and self-help guru Marianne Williamson? Well, she leads white followers in a prayer of apology to black people.
I'm going to ask the white Americans in the room to please repeat after me. To you and all African Americans. From the beginning of our nation's history, in honor of your ancestors and on behalf of your children, please hear this from my heart. I apologize.
This self-loathing culture is everywhere. It started on college campuses, it spread to the federal government, the military, and of course Hollywood is spoon-feeding it to your kids. You can't even watch cartoons anymore without getting lectured about the evils of white privilege by Looney Tunes social justice warriors.
Thanks to systemic racism, most of your storytellers prioritize white accomplishments, which leaves you with an incomplete picture. Ask yourself as you're learning history, who's telling the story? Was this modified to make white readers comfortable? Are major details being left out that would credit people of color and center their point of view?
History is racist, immigration laws are racist, voting reform laws are racist, math is racist, and get this, objective academic standards are racist, according to this Arizona State University professor who pushed his campus to adopt a more socially just grading system that rewards mere effort over actual achievement.
What is the best way to describe labor-based grading contracts?
Labor-based grading contracts are a set of agreements that are negotiated with students in a classroom to determine the labor required to get a particular grade that the class has agreed upon. Standards, because of where they come from, are white supremacist. And there's no way around it because of who created them, who are in control, who controlled those standards, and who controlled those classrooms, and who doesn't get to make those decisions, and where those language practices come from. So this is a way of making the classroom much more socially just by rearranging its assessment ecology, the grading mechanisms of the class.
Okay, the good news is that parents are fighting back and speaking out, like these moms in Arizona.
I'm the mother of a high school senior and an 8th grade son, and my fear is this type of curriculum will actually breed more racism and more divide in our country rather than unity. It's saddened me how I have witnessed my own children lose friendships because their friends make assumptions about them. They tell them they are privileged because they're white, or they are bad people because their dad is a police officer.
When you peel back the layers of this onion, you will see that it promotes taking from one group in order to compensate a second group, to correct injustices caused by a third group who mistreated a fourth group by an earlier point in history. It's absurd. Not only does it not promote justice, it does the opposite. It promotes racism. And you cannot cure racism with more racism.
That's for sure. And bravo to this mom in Nevada, Gabriella Clark, who's suing her charter school over discriminatory critical race theory teaching that pressured her mixed-race son to confess his quote-unquote white dominance.
Stick up for your children and do not let them trample all over your rights. Reach out, just like I did, to anybody who will listen.
And parents in Loudoun County, Virginia, They were targeted and doxxed by school board members for organizing against critical race theory lessons like this one, in which a teacher bullied a student for not seeing everything through a racial lens.
The story behind this picture, I'd rather hold on to that. Just tell me what this seems to be a picture of.
It's just two people chilling.
Right, just two people. There's nothing more to this picture?
Nah, not really. Just two people chilling.
I don't believe that you believe that. I don't believe that you look at this as just two people. I don't think
Truly
you
is
look
just
at
two
this as
people,
just
though,
two
is it
people.
not?
Yeah, but I think you're being intentionally coy about what this is a picture of.
What would I be being coy about? It's two people standing back to back in a picture.
Yeah, and that's all you see is two people.
I'm confused on what you would like me to speak on in that
I
sense.
don't think you are. I don't know why you do this.
Wow. You know what the biggest insult added to all this collective injury and stupidity is? You're subsidizing it. The anti-white propaganda racket is a multi-billion-dollar industry, not just in higher education, but in K through 12 schools. In Idaho, state legislators have identified some $18 million in the public education budget that supports critical race theory.
This is a cancer growing in our education system from zero to higher education. There's a book list that is on our Idaho website. And let me read to you a few of these. A picture book that invites white children and parents to become curious about racism, accept that it's real, and cultivate justice. They have Being Misgendered, 10,000 Dresses. Liana's Lunchbox, a Ramadan story, but no books on Christianity anywhere in the list. A is for activism. So this one is written for the next generation of progressives, families who want their kids to grow up in a space that is unapologetic about activism, environmental justice, civil rights, LGBTQ rights, and everything else that activists believe in and fight for. So that's just some of the content that they are recommending to for teaching our 0 to 5-year-olds.
A healthy and functioning sovereign nation would teach its children to be grateful for their privileges, not ashamed of them. Until a unified movement of parents, teachers, educators, and elected officials band together to defund and deplatform anti-white denigration, we will remain on a path